Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really cool story from Vietnam that totally rethinks how we learn, using building blocks that are already out there and free for everyone.
All right, let's just jump right in with a big question, right? What if the most powerful, most engaging tools for tomorrow's classroom didn't cost a single penny? I mean, it's a huge idea, especially for schools that are working with tight budgets.
And look, this isn't just some pie-in-the-sky theory. We're going to break down a real-world case study from a high school in Vietnam where they took a handful of free online tools and mashed them together to create something totally new for their students.
Okay, so to really get why this is such a big deal, we've got to talk about the challenge first. See, school today isn't just about memorizing dates and facts anymore. It's about teaching a whole new way of thinking. The research we're looking at today really hones in on 5 key skills. You've got collaboration and communication, the usual suspects, right? But also critical thinking, creativity, and this newer one, computational thinking. And all that really means is learning how to break down huge, messy problems into smaller, manageable pieces. The thing is, these are the skills kids need to succeed, but they're super tough to teach in that classic rows of desks classroom.
So, how did they do it? How'd these teachers in Vietnam pull it off? Well, they basically came up with a recipe for learning. They took a toolkit of free stuff they found online and mixed it all together to create a whole new experience. So, let's check out what's in this toolkit.
All right, the foundation, the flour in our recipe, if you will, is something called Open Educational Resources, or OER. Just think of it as any learning material, like textbooks, videos, you name it, that's totally free and legal for anyone to use, to change up, and to share. And you can imagine, this is a total game changer, especially for developing countries.
Now, the main tool, the real star of the show here, is called OK Mind Map. At its core, it's a free online mind mapping tool. But here's the kicker, the thing that makes it so cool. It's seriously collaborative. We're talking up to 40 kids all logged in, working on the exact same mind map at the exact same time. Wild, right?
So, using this one tool, teachers create 2 main things. First up is the WebQuest. That's basically the assignment, right? It's a big central mind map that points students where they need to go. Then the second thing is the student's Big Book. This is their own personal mind map, kind of like a digital scrapbook or portfolio where they dump all their notes, ideas, everything they find.
And then for the finale, the big presentation. Instead of, a boring old essay, the students use Scratch. You might have heard of it. It's that super simple, totally free programming tool from MIT. They use it to build little interactive stories or even games to show what they've learned. It just makes the whole final project thing way more active. And honestly, a lot more fun.
Okay, let's tie this all together. The whole workflow is actually super simple, but really powerful. Step 1, the teacher assigns the WebQuest. Step 2, the students just dive right in, doing their research and building out their own big book. In Step 3, they take everything they've learned and turn it into a cool Scratch project. It's this beautiful, creative cycle, and remember, it's all built on tools that don't cost a dime.
So that's the theory. But how did it actually work in a real classroom? Well, the researchers put it to the test. For 3 whole months, with 140 10th graders in Vietnam. And they picked a topic that was pretty relevant to these kids.
The assignment was all about the Mekong River. The kids had to research all the big issues facing the river. We're talking climate change, pollution, all of it. And then they had to present what they found and what they were concerned about.
And their starting point wasn't some boring list of instructions. No way. The teacher's WebQuest was this living, breathing mind map. It had branches shooting off with links to articles, videos embedded right in there, and specific tasks to do, all laid out visually. And from there, each student started growing their own big book. It really became their personal home base for knowledge, right? A big, sprawling map of everything they found. Notes, pictures, links, all the raw material for their final project.
So, the big question, did it actually work? After 3 months, the researchers crunched the numbers and looked at the results. Let's see what they found.
The results were, well, they were really promising, but it wasn't a perfect fairy tale. On the plus side, every single student, 100% of them, learned how to use both OK Mind Map and Scratch. That's huge. And they were super motivated. Teachers definitely saw a big bump in creativity. Now, on the flip side, some of the kids who weren't as comfortable with computers, they struggled a bit at the start. And, as you'd probably guess, some kids got distracted by games and chat. It happens.
But honestly, the most powerful stuff comes from the students themselves. One student called their big book a house of knowledge, and they said it wasn't just for school stuff, but for sharing useful things from their own life. I mean, that's real ownership right there.
And then there's this one. It's even more amazing. Another student said the whole project helped their creativity fly away. Just think about that. How often does a regular homework assignment make you feel like that? It's a total shift from just passively taking in information to, actually creating something with joy.
Okay, so let's pull back for a second. What's the big takeaway here? I mean, what can a small study in Vietnam really tell us about the future of education for everyone?
So, here's the bottom line. A few key things really jump out. First, yes, free tools can absolutely create amazing modern learning environments. Second, this model, it works, it's simple, and anyone can copy it. That makes it a massive opportunity, especially for developing countries. And maybe the biggest point of all, it hits all those crucial 21st century skills we mentioned at the beginning: collaboration, creativity, the whole shebang.
And that really brings us to the final thought. The researchers themselves said that this model makes learning more creative and happier for the young generation. So let's end with this question. If the tools to build classrooms that are happier and more creative are already out there and they're totally free, what's stopping us? What does that future really look like to you? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me.